Demon Hunter. Yup, you read that title right. I'm a fully certified demon hunter, government issue and all. Most people think demons are all some paranormal bullshit, just straight instances of possession of the human soul. You know, some real exorcist or conjuring movie type stuff. But actually, our own government is using demon as a blanket term for all the ghoulies, mummies, werewolves, and the things that bump at night. Let me get this out of the way early. If there was a god, he wouldn't have made half the shit I've seen. You can be damn sure of that. Have you ever heard of the Grunch? Little feisty, ugly motherfucker she is. Smells like a rotting corpse layered in a pile of onions. Who would create that abomination to terrorize hardworking farmers, huh? Now, I've been in this profession for almost 13 years, and I still can't believe I've lasted this long. What I mean by that is, I can't believe I haven't ended it by my own hand. This job is gritty as hell and really takes a toll on you. I'm a greedy dog. Just listening to the orders sent by the higher-ups, it wears on me. Most creatures from the depths of hell I've come across aren't what they're made out to be. They're just trying to survive and see another day, like the rest of us. Most of the exterminations I do aren't justified. These beings are living creatures that deserve just as much right to live as anything else on this planet. I kill a lot, or capture a lot, of docile demons that don't mean anyone harm. My greedy self keeps a blind eye for that green the good old government gives me. When I began my work, I justified it as helping humankind, knowing most of the creatures I'd encounter would be a danger to the good old American dream. But I knew all along they wanted to experiment on or use these creatures for whatever fucked up science project they had going. Didn't bother me at first. I loved the money too much, but it started itching at me over the years like a ticking clock. Sure, I've encountered some scum of the world that would hunt humans for sport. But most of them, they just want to live out their years secluded. But enough of my little rant of self-pity and regret. Just wanted to let y'all know these demons aren't all the glorified boogeymen they've been made out to be. Now let me tell you about one of my first jobs. Young, cocky as hell, and ruthless as all get out. Ready to pull the trigger on a demon at a moment's notice. Got the text from the unknown number. Included the coordinates to pick up the file for my next job. I arrived at an abandoned hotel and went to room number 19. I swung the door open, dust flying everywhere, and found a nice, neat file folder laying on the cockroach-infested bed. I opened up the file and skimmed through it. The location was a small beach town in North Florida. Target's name, The Abyss. 9 feet tall on the dot, 450 pounds. Covered in pitch black long hair and fitted with a nice pair of bright red eyes. Also listed were razor-sharp teeth and a pair of 5-inch claws to make the ultimate killing machine. Basically, the gist of it was a lot of dead deer popping up everywhere and a couple of sightings by the locals. All the deer were found with a nice clean slit across their throats. The men in black swiftly came to diffuse any crazy talk between neighbors, gaslighting them into believing it was a rabid, oversized black bear terrorizing the small town. Yeah, the men in black with their almost perfect clean suits exist. And they're fucking dicks. I was tasked with eliminating the target. Sounded like I was in for a lot. I arrived shortly after and did a little recon, which suggested finding the closest bar. They had this little place called Sundown, a tiki hut with the best margaritas on the beachside I've ever had. I didn't have too much to go off, but I knew the killings of the wildlife were near the locals, so that's where I'd start. Let me tell you, the government sure knows how to give me the best gear a man could dream of. I had high-tech night vision goggles that could track footprints from about a mile away. A fully geared out AR-15 and my lucky 911. Always took it with me. My dad gave it to me when I was a boy, and it really meant a lot. I had one stim with me called a Keo, made from the best of the best the government could get. Basically, if I sustained a serious injury like a broken leg, or a huge open wound, one stick of this and I'm brand new in seconds. Also grants some superhuman-like strength for a short time. Crazy what those motherfuckers can make now. I also picked up some special bear-like traps that would snap any normal human being's leg right in half. Once nightfall hit, I started setting up traps in the woods right across from the 2 households that saw the abyss most recently. Lot of woods in this area, including a huge state park right next to this beach town called Tate's Hell. Got a nice ring to it, huh? Did a little research into the place and found a story about local fishermen seeing what they called a skunk ape. No mistake, that had to be the same damn thing. I was posted about half a mile from the houses, had my night vision goggles on, and was listening to some Fergie waiting patiently, wondering if the abyss would make another appearance near here. I know Fergie, right? But her catalog's pretty good. especially when she was with the black-eyed peas. Couple hours go by with nothing, and I'm running out of Jack Daniel's shooters, so I'm getting a little pissed off. Oh, then, around 3 o'clock, I see the thing appear on the other side of the woods near the houses. His name sure did live up to his reputation. He towered in almost complete darkness, except for those beady red eyes that left a glare in the night sky. He had a dark green vest on with small pouches everywhere. I wondered where he got such a huge vest, and why the hell he was wearing it. I mean, it kind of stood out with his whole pitch black fur thing. I'd left him a little present on the edge of the woods, not in plain view. 3 deer with their necks slit from ear to ear. Watched him approach the bait. So now I know the fucker has a keen sense of smell. I moved in closer to position, wondering if my present would piss him off, thinking he's got competition. Got right by the houses, facing the woods, not a single peep from the wildlife. Complete, utter dead silence. I saw the abyss, overwhelming dread hitting me as he made his soft, small steps toward the deer. He was reluctant to approach them and took a while just staring, maybe admiring the work. I felt sweat drip down my face as I slowly pulled out my assault rifle, careful not to make a sound. Finally, he stepped into the woods, and seconds later, one of the deer's bodies came flying into the road, no head attached. The abyss let loose an ear-piercing screech of pure anger and bloodlust. My headphones blasting black-eyed peas, meet me halfway combust on impact. Surprisingly, the glass in the houses didn't shatter. Of course, that woke up the sleeping families. I could see lights flicker on and heard a couple of shrieks of terror. The abyss swiftly came back out, eyeing the first house with intent to destroy and conquer. I knew he was fast and deadly. I aimed at the target, took a deep breath, and knew my first priority was getting this thing far away from those families. I only had a few seconds to react. I shouted in my brain, "Just focus." "You are better than him." Over and over. I pulled the trigger, unloading the full clip into the oversized Prince of Darkness. Then I began moving in on the target, finger still pulling the trigger. He tried shielding the bullets with his bulky arm, but quickly became overwhelmed and ran off into the woods. I quickly threw the gun over my shoulder and, with no hesitation, followed the target. As I made it into the woods, I overheard the terror and confusion of the neighbors. Knew the cops would be there soon. I followed his footprints, big enough they were easy to track. My plan was going accordingly. He took the bait, and I forced him into the woods where my traps were waiting. I kept tracking the prints under the moonlight, knowing I couldn't possibly keep up with him. He had to hit one of my traps. I kept tracking for 30 minutes in almost a full sprint the whole time. Then I slowed down, pulled out my flask, and took a drink of God's nectar. Bourbon whiskey. As I crept up, I realized the thing hadn't hit a single trap. I mean, I set out a decent amount. Then my heart sank. I lost him. My emotions got the best of me. I started overthinking about my paycheck and early resume. I snapped back into reality and realized I was in the middle of Tate's hell, with the destructive force of nature pissed off at me. If I remember right, Tate's hell got its name from a guy who got lost in these woods for 7 days. Once he made it to the edge, he fainted and died on the spot. Really shitty way to go if you ask me. Right there at the finish line, but not strong enough to make it. I kept following the tracks, too determined to let this money go. Then I reached an open area and the tracks disappeared. Literally vanished. Nothing in sight. I pulled out my night vision goggles and scanned the area. Nothing, not even a trace. I slowly looked up and saw a heat signature footprint on the tree in front of me. It kept going up. I dreaded the idea of looking up further. Dropped the goggles in the dirt, pulled out my 1911 and stared directly above me. And sure enough, those goddamn red, beady eyes looked right into my soul.